Hello and welcome to another episode of The Prescription with myself, Travis, and I'm joined with Dr. Nandi as per usual.
Oh, thank you so much to Travis and to all our viewers. It's an opportunity again for them to get information and a top-notch information from the real doctor, the real honey doctor. So today we're going to prescribe, but can they wait for the nice prescription? I mean, our prescription is taking a different direction, but today it's powerful. So thank you to our viewers. Thank you, Travis. To our sponsors, Marshall World of Sports. Thank you so much.
Now, my team, Maritzburg United, Middendorp, he's played one game. What would he be coming in the team to do? To stabilize, to win? What's happening there? Can you give your thoughts on that, Doc?
I think, to be quite honest, let's get straight into it, Trev. One, Middendorp has been at Maritzburg 4 times. I think this is the 4th time he came back to Maritzburg. But again, if you look at the appointment of Middendorp, says to you that the synergy between Maritzburg and Middendorp, it's good to an extent that they feel that he needs to come back and try to remedy the situation. Remember last week, we spoke about, I think for me, if you look at the team, there's a bit of team morale. It's very low. The team spirit is very low from the body language of the players, something that we don't know from the inside of the team based on what is really making the players look like they're unhappy and all that. Maybe a coach like Middendorp comes in, he's going to bring a structure, order, discipline, and obvious to motivate the players and to make them understand the job at hand about this team of Maritzburg. Because for me, I think he's got an organic relationship with Maritzburg. I think he knows the club culture. He knows what needs to be done in this situation. Yes, he comes back from Ethiopia, which he felt he didn't do well. Last year with Chiefs, he did well, came second. Yeah. And the reason I said I give him a pat on the back with that, he coached me in 2007 at Chiefs. And he's a different Middendorp that I know. He coached me at Chiefs. And when I was Chiefs last season, I said, how Middendorp is come out different tactics, formations, games approach. I said, Middendorp now is different. I think he has evolved himself over the years. But I think he's got a very organic relationship with Maritzburg. And that's why they brought him back to say, come and remedy the situation. Remember, they've even won a game. It's 12 in a row, 5 this season, but including the bubble one. The bubble one. So it tells you that there's a serious problem, and the quicker they sort out this problem, the better. One, you bring a leader that's going to lead the boys, which I think Middendorp, from what I've seen last season, he led Chiefs very well with the limited squad that he had at Chiefs. So with Maritzburg, again, it's also coming in a team where yes, there's pressure to survive relegation, but he's going to work with people that he has worked with. He understands the culture of the team. So I think it's a good appointment, but I think it was premature a sacking of Tinkler. But I still think Middendorp coming in, he's going to remedy this situation, guaranteed.
Now we look at that Kaizer Chiefs team. Now, obviously, they haven't had the transfers, all of that. How good was Middendorp to take that team to, I know they missed out on the last day, but how good was he to actually get them to that second place with that team?
I think it's twofold, Trevor. One, there are coaches that are good with a budget that works with. They can only be good when given a budget to buy players that they want. Two, if a coach is not given a budget to say buy the players that you want, the sources that you need that are going to help the team, I give him a credit because I'm looking at last season. He didn't sign much in terms of bringing new faces, reinforcement. Maybe it's Changase and then very few players. But ultimately, I said to myself, Dan Middendorp has improved as a coach because I know him, I work with him, and I look at how Chiefs play because also from how the team profile and the team plays, it tells you the story. The coach has improved himself. But I think the good coach, the coach that he can work without a budget. So I think Middendorp comes to a Maritzburg, they've already signed players, they already have the outline, the season's ambitions. So I think it's going to be a situation where he just needs to make sure that he stamps in his authority, he stamps in the team, brings in that moral, the morals of boost to the players and the team spirit because Maritzburg has got quality players. I mean, for me, I think it's one of the teams in the PSL, exciting to watch. Sure. We spoke about Harry Kwala last week, the fortress of Harry Kwala. And when you watch Maritzburg play, it's so nice to watch them on TV because it's a team that plays without fear. It's like I compare them to Celtic. They play without fear, and every time Maritzburg play, there's a chance of them getting 3 points, not just getting 3 points, but getting them pretty and are playing very good football. I think Tinkler has done a very good job. Middendorp he's got easy job to get the motivate players, because Tinker has done a very good job. Unfortunately, he was sacked, but I still feel that Middendorp is coming, inheriting a team that already has been polished. He just needs to work on a psychological aspect of the players.
Right. Now I get you. Quick personal question. Shangas, would you start him? Underrated or not?
Very underrated. I think his situation with Vets affected him, but I think with more game time, he's going to grow in confidence. He's a player that in that position is amongst the best in that position, because he's young, energetic, he breaks the attacks, he can pass, he can defend very well. With a coach that believes in him, he'll do well. Because sometimes we forget the one thing, that if you have a coach that trusts you, you do well. Like you trusting me with the job that we're doing. I work well because it automatically worked on my psychological aspect. So I think Middendorp is coming there. He's going to help some of the players to develop and grow.
Now, we talk about Chiefs, they can't sign. We talk about it every week. But anyways, to a team who can sign, Amazulu, they just signed 2 more. Talk to me about their signings. Is it too much? You know what I mean? Is it now, okay, now this is just a whole new team. They can't do well this year, can they? With so many new names in the squad. Thoughts?
I think if you look at their situation, that the guy, Zoom, the guy who just bought Amazulu, the new owners felt that they look at the position last year, they look at how they struggle as Amazulu, and I think they're not just signing, they're signing based on the information they got from last season. Because remember, last season informs this season. So what they've done last season already sends signals that it is a prominent team. So the signings are saying we want to improve from where we are with the club ambitions. Remember, it's giving the coach Ayanda Dlamini the mandate to say, I want us to be in the top 4. Yeah. So being in the top 4, it requires, you must give him resources, you must give him good signings. So I think for the signing that he has made, I'm not going to talk about the Shaba, Mulenga, Mlambo, Memela. Already they are playing. They already started playing. But again, you look at the 2 that he has made during the week, which is Mota, the goalkeeper from Chipa, and he has made Mashami from Sundowns. So if an ambitious team that feels that to be on the top 4, I need to buy him, give him the players that he wants, and I don't want Ayanda to complain come the end of the season, say, I lacked this, I lacked that. So the thinking is very simple. Everything they're doing is informed by the ambitions of the club and what has happened last season. Because, and we always talk about that. If you look at most teams, the reason they reinforce based on what happened in a previous season. So Amazulu, they had a poor season last year, which they feel that they need to reinforce with good signings, not just signings, experienced signings. But again, let's be honest. This is going to be a season to remember for some of the clubs like Abomazulu and all that, because new owner brings more new motivation. We spoke about monetary recognition for players last week, but also I still think that new owner brings ching for players. So I think the talk will be, yes, they will talk about their ambitions, but players are sitting and waiting and say, Chairman, please, we're not going to talk about the ching, because ching, you know what it does. It doesn't just even motivate. It just plays around the system, the muscles.
Now we go into, I want to just chat about the top 3. Right now we've got Sundowns on 13, Swallows on 11, and then is it Pirates on 9? Is that how the season's going to finish? I know we spoke about Swallows last week, and you said they started hot, but you have to finish hot. Sundowns look like they're going to win it. Who's your top 3?
I think that the top 3 is going to change, to be quite honest. But I'm not going to give out what we're going to talk about later in terms of the prescription and diagnosis. But I think the top 3, now it's too early to give a judgment to say this is how it's going to end. But my belief and the experience I have in football, it's going to change. I'm not undermining Swallows, but I don't think Swallows will finish in the top 3. I'm not undermining Swallows. I love Swallows. I'm not against any other team, but I still believe that Swallows are not going to finish in the top 3. Inside the top 8, they'll finish, but not top 3. So that's why I'm saying that top 3 it changed. But Sundowns and Pirates, they're gonna keep their positions. But I'm gonna outlay it later when we talk about diagnosis and prescription.
Bless them. Do you want to get into the prescription?
Yeah. Let's look at the very important factors. The factors, the diagnosis and prescription. I think one, the question that you just asked, it gets the synergy between what you just asked and what we're gonna talk about with the prescription. My diagnosis is very simple, Trev.
Yeah.
Sundowns, I like to put my head on the block. Sundowns are still going to win the league, and I'm not reading too much with their start. I know it's not how you start; it's how well you finish. I'm not reading too much to that, but I'm looking at Sundowns team. I'm looking at, apart from the good squad that they have, but remember their team is dominated by Bafana players, international players, and the ambitions of the clubs are very simple. Yes, they brought in the three, Mishaka, Shatek, and Abednego, the coaches. But again, if you have a team that is dominated by Bafana, you are bound to do well as a team. That's why Sundowns have been doing well, to be quite honest. Remember, they bring in quality, they bring in experience for playing in the CAF competitions. But again, you have players that understand the stresses and all the pressure that comes with playing for a big team and delivering the trophy ultimately. Because remember, the mental toughness is about maintaining the highest peak during the stress, during the pressure and the responsibility that we have. So I think Sundowns players, now they understand the concept of, yes, we are under pressure, but we love those stresses. We play better when we have stresses. So I think Sundowns are going to maintain their fourth consecutive league title this season. And I'm putting my head on the line. And hence I always say, for every prediction I've made about Sundowns, it came out right. So I'm putting my head on the line. Diagnosis and prescription, Sundowns are going to maintain their league for the fourth consecutive time. Number two, Pirates, good side, made a good signings, and I still believe that they're gonna be MTN champions, not undermining Celtic again. Reason being, if you look at two teams that Pirates got a great squad, and if you look at the consistency of the form, Pirates are better, not best, but they are better than Celtic. Celtics haven't done well in the league thus far. They look at their position on the log, and it says psychologically they are affected going to the final. I know people are thinking that our final is a different ball game, but how well you do, it automatically encourages your mindset. So psychologically, I think Celtics are affected with their position on the log and how they started. Yes, they've started well in the MTN 8, but in the league, they've been done well. But now if you compare the two, who's on form? Consistency and confidence, Pirates. So it's very simple. I believe Pirates are going to be, remember they last won a trophy 2014. Luckily, Kwati was still a captain. Yes, luckily, Kwati was still a captain. So this is on the 12th of December, this will be their first trophy in the last 6 years.
It's big time. Now,
and then the last one, remember they three this prescription. So the last one, this will be a very great season, Trev. One, I believe that more teams are gonna introduce more youngsters, which is very exciting for me as a coach of a grassroots level. Chippa United have just given a debut to a 17-year-old, Caden Francis, a cousin to Juran Francis, who played for Ajax and Santos, a very good defender. They've introduced a 17-year-old this past week against TTM. He delivered a very good cross, and Chippa were able to get a goal through his crossing. So my excitement about that is that the future looks bright. When this COVID is as bad as it was for all of us, but I still think in terms of football, more youngsters are going to be introduced because teams now rely on their development structures to get players, and obviously more that calls for introduction of more youngsters, which is good for the future of this country.
Have to be, because last time you spoke about scouting. Now I think this also ties into that as well, like a few of the problems in SA. Our academies are not like, you go to England, people are coming into academies at like the age of 10. They get in there early and they get in the proper coaching. Do you see SA going that way with our academies?
I think that's the angle that we need to be strict with, because I've already believed that we've compromised ourselves when it comes to those aspects. One, I think from the development structures, we need to work very hard. All the coaches' development structures must work very hard. You need to be highest qualified in terms of understanding. To develop means it's in investing in a future of youngsters that tomorrow, 10 years, 20 years later, they're going to be at their best with the training that they get in development structures. But I think South Africa have taken a knock based on, we've compromised those aspects on being strict with the fact that a development phase, remember, with the investments, the future, it's what's going to pay us later. So it's important that what we do in a grassroots level it has to be aligned with what's about to happen in a professional setup. So that in England, the Europe countries, and France, to mention the one country that produces players, if you go to all the leagues, you'll always find a French player. You'll always find a French player. If you go to England, Spain, you'll always find a French player. They've done well with regards to the development. You know why? Because they don't compromise. Development is strictly development. It's not results oriented. Yes, you can build a winning mentality, but in South Africa, we have a lot of great coaches who needs to be given a platform to deliver with regards to making sure that they develop more players. Remember, as a coach, your mandate also as a coach is to train players that when they are younger, you see them 10 years or 20 years later and say, this is my job, this is what I've done. So the right habits are taught at the development ages. Remember, we're not only talking about football, not talent only alone. We're talking about the fundamental aspect of a footballer, the physical aspect, the psychological aspect, the tactical aspect. All these aspects are very critical, Travers. But also, football has evolved. There's also the element of the nutrition, which we didn't know during our days. How well you must eat. And those are the things that needs to be taught at development. And now we don't compromise in our country. Now, South Africa needs to change the shift of saying we don't compromise. Development is development. Yes, results, but development needs to give us the youth. So teams need to have a mandate for every season. They need to promote players. Hence, I said that in our press release that I'm happy with the COVID, as bad as it destroyed most lives, and may their souls rest in peace, though they have lost their lives through the COVID-19. But with regards to football, it has also brought a dimension where teams are now forced to use more players from the youth level. Remember, these players didn't get an opportunity. When was the last time you had a team using a 17-year-old? What does it tell you?
Long time, yeah.
A long time ago. But look what Chippa has done. And big ups to Chippa. And I said, it's very important that other teams they look at what Chippa has done. I'm not saying they must just haphazardly introduce youngsters. It is a process. They need to do it in the right way. But the more youngsters are going to be introduced this season.